Okay, Holly, you're gonna do both your winning dishes for us today. Can you just kind of quickly introduce those and tell us what they are?
Yeah, so for my main course, I did a braised beef tortellini, and that was on a bed of tomatoes mixed in with garlic, with soybean and spinach, and then it had a balsamic reduction around the edge, a parmesan crisp and some pea shoots at the top. And then for dessert, I did a chocolate and beetroot brownie with banana ice cream, crumble, and raspberry and vanilla coulis.
Okay, fantastic. So we've got to obviously you've got a lot to do. So I think maybe you're probably best just kind of cracking on,
Okay.
and hopefully we'll kind of get through it within the time that we've.
We'll try.
Okay. So first of all, so you got the pressure cooker there.
Yeah. So I try and use the cheaper kind, the more affordable kind of meat, simply because obviously in schools we have a budget to stick to. So I try to incorporate things like that. And obviously with this kind of meat, it needs cooking for longer.
Yeah.
So hence the pressure cooker, it just helps you cook it a bit quicker, really.
Yeah. And it's great because you not only kind of obviously tenderize it within a short period of time, but obviously, as you said, it's more economical. So therefore it's more cost effective. It allows you to use a lot of other different ingredients that you could within your dishes as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's really important that you use every part of the animal as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree. So in terms of the pressure cooker, what would you do in the school normally? Because you can't obviously cook a large volume in there, can you?
So I have a steamer, which it's similar to a pressure cooker, but obviously doesn't cook as fast.
Okay.
But within sort of school meals, you're not as time restricted. So if you needed to, you could cook it the day before. But I tend to find when I'm doing sort of things like this, if I pop it in as soon as I come in, it's pretty much ready by lunchtime.
Okay, excellent. So, so you've been cooking for the kids today as well.
Yeah. So sorry, I'm just disappearing. At the moment we have key worker children in, and we have key stage 1 in, and in the next, so tomorrow, Thursday, key stage 1 children finish for summer and key stage 2 children start. We're quite a big school, so we don't have enough space to have all the kids in at once. So we have to split it this way to make it better.
Okay, and how have you found that? Has it been awkward? Has it been difficult during lockdown?
Do you know what? I think everyone's going to say it's been different. It's just about adapting, isn't it, and changing how we normally do things. As a school day at the moment, nothing is the same. It's completely different. We don't actually see any children at all. Everything is packed lunch and taken to their bubble.
Is it hot or cold food or mixture of both?
We're doing a mixture of both at the moment. We've tended with the smaller ones to stay on a cold dinner because obviously they've got to take that into their classroom, eat in their classroom.
Yeah.
And we're all on skeletal staff throughout the whole school. So not only teachers, it's cleaning staff, dinner ladies. Yeah. So we're trying to basically make it as easy as possible for everyone. Okay. So we've been serving sandwiches, a little snack, a fruit, a yogurt, a dessert and a drink. And they get that packed up into a little brown paper bag and taken to their bubble.
Okay. That's a lot different, obviously, to what you're used to.
Completely different. Key stage 2 children we've got coming in, they're having like hot meals, like pastas, sausage and mash, things that we can cook, pop into a little takeaway container, and they can take that back to their bubble.
So have you been doing? Is it all takeaway containers, or have you got people bringing the crockery back and washing things through? And how's it?
No, we've tried to minimise the points of contact as much as possible. I've worked with my head teacher, and this is what they prefer basically. To make it easier all round, they've gone to sort of minimal contact as possible. So at the moment, it is all takeaway, but it is all paper. It's not plastics and things like that because we are conscious that we're a plastic-free school.
So it's all compostable. So
yes,
have you,
that's the word.
Have you struggled with costings and things, or has there been a little bit of leeway and a little bit of grace on supporting that?
To be honest, there's been leeway. Our company have just basically said to be as mindful as possible, but do what you have to do.
Okay. So so that's your braising steak in the slow cooker.
Yeah, so the tortellini filling is in. Now that'll go up to pressure. It takes about 5 minutes to go up to pressure, and that'll take 35 minutes to cook.
Okay.
So while that's cooking, I've just got my crumble ready. So that's the McDougall's crumble mix. That's for my dessert. I literally just pop that onto a baking tray and pop it in the oven to bake, and it's done.
Okay, so you bake that in advance.
At the same time, I'm going to do my Parmesan crisp.
Okay. So you got a couple of things on your ingredients. You've got Parmesan, you've got things like balsamic.
Yeah.
I mean, these are quite adult ingredients. I mean, how do they work with the kids?
So I think that as we get older, our palates sort of refine a little bit. So by doing like Parmesan is cheese, if I say to the kids, you know, oh, this is cheese, taste it. It's a different type of cheese.
Yeah.
Then they're like, oh, I like cheese. And so they'll try it and they'll say, oh, it's a bit. And I'll say, you know, what can you taste? Is it salty? Is it? And I think by using the Parmesan, it adds a lot of flavour. And it is a salty cheese, so I don't have to add any salt into the dish. Okay.
So things like that.
The balsamic, I actually tested it with my cooking club. And we made bread in cooking club, and then I got the balsamic and got them to dip their bread into the balsamic. So they know they like bread, and they've made the bread themselves, so they want to eat it. So by tasting the balsamic, I'll say, you know, what is it? Is it sweet? Is it sour? And they actually taste it and they're like, oh, it's really nice. So I'm just going to pop this into the oven.
So tell me about the cooking club. Where does that go on? How does that happen?
Yeah, so we have a weekly cooking club with Key Stage 2. We do that after school on a Wednesday, and the children come into the kitchen and we cook everything basically. We do a massive variety of dishes, and I try and make things that healthy dishes. Thanks, Al. That, like, say we'll make carrot cake muffins, and because they like muffins, they like cupcakes.
Yeah.
Carrot is quite a sort of it's a more vegetable that kids like. And they go, no, I don't like carrot in cake, that's wrong. But then they taste it and they really like it. And then we give them a recipe book that they can take home, and they can cook that with the parents at home.
Okay, so how do you do that? Are you subsidised by the school to do anything like that, or does it work in with anything else?
Yeah, so I work with the company that I work for. They subsidise it slightly, and then the children bring in £1 a week. Getting the pressure cooker up. Yeah, they bring up £1 a week, and that just goes towards ingredients.
Okay, is your pressure cooker fixed now? Because from memory, wasn't your pressure cooker broken? Once upon a time.
Do you want me to tell you the story?
No, you don't have to.
We were packing the car the day before the competition. I put it behind the driver's seat, and my husband is a lot taller than me, and he pushed the seat back of the car and put quite a large dent in it.
Okay.
So it just changes the shape slightly, so it just takes a while just to get it back to play ball. Which obviously it worked perfectly this morning.
In rehearsal, everything always does.
Oh, typical.
So, will you try to sort that? Because we can't see in front of the pressure cooker now. What was it you were mixing? Just right,
so that. Shall I move it? Can you see that?
I can see that now. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just a pasta mix. So it's 1 egg, 7 ml of olive oil, and McDougall's plain flour. Okay. And you literally pop it in the blender, whop it onto chop, and it's dead quick, dead easy.
And then you just, I guess you tightly pack that then and put it in the fridge to rest, or?
Yeah, so it just moves into breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
Knead it for 2 minutes, pop it into the fridge for half an hour.
Yeah.
And bring it out, and there is one in the fridge ready.
There's one I had earlier.
It's like a proper blue pizza moment. You literally just mould it down. And I love the way that when people say pasta, oh, you need pasta flour.
Yeah, you don't.
You don't at all. McDougall's plain flour works perfectly.
We've been doing the same during lockdown. We've been making pasta with McDougall's flour. We've been making gyozas
Nice.
Again, things that you'd think you'd need a specialist dough, but or specialist flour, and the McDougall's one works fine.
And I think people don't realise how easy it is.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people think, oh, I can't make pasta. It's so easy. This is another thing we make in Cooking Club.
Because one of the, again, there were a couple of people who said, well, you can't really make pasta en masse in terms of for the kids during the lunch. And if you were going to make the tortellini, then that does become quite difficult depending on the number of kids. But again, there's different ways you can use the pasta. So if you were trying to recreate this dish for the canteen, how would you go about that?
So we recreated it for 50 children, which took 2 of us to make the tortellini in the morning. The other way you could do it is like an open, like a bit of a lasagna.
Yeah.
Twist it up a little bit that way. There's so many different ways you could, put it into tagliatelle and mix your sauce through. There's loads of different ways. You've just got to be a bit creative about it.
Yeah. And for this particular dish, Holly, where did your inspiration come from?
Pasta is a firm favourite in our school. Our kids love pasta in any form. So I wanted to include a meat, and I wanted to make it a little bit special. So I needed to pull back costs. So hence why I used the braised beef. So I could go a bit wild in other places. So I wanted to do a pasta dish. I wanted to do a meat dish. Yeah. And then I just sort of sat and Googled things and took ideas from different things. And then from tasting, we added things. The balsamic was actually an addition from the children. They were the ones that said, why don't you use this in your dish? And we did. That's where it came from.
Fantastic. So what's the next thing that we've got on the go now?
Right. So at the moment, I'm going to do the raspberries to go in the pudding. Yeah. So it's literally some frozen raspberries, a little bit of water, and some honey. And we're really lucky here. Oh, there's my time going. We're really lucky in Thorn because we've got our own bees at our library. So we can just go up there and we take the children with us, and they get to look at sort of the beehives and learn about beekeeping as well. So it's all local honey as well, which I think is good. So
have you got a bee suit for that? I'm not quite sure what the technical term is for a.
I definitely do not wear a bee suit. I watch the lady with the bee suit and stand with the children and go, oh yes, isn't it lovely?
Okay, so that honey all comes to you in the kitchen then? Yeah,
so we use that at the moment. Okay. I use quite a lot of honey because I use it as a sweetener as opposed to sugar.
Yeah, natural sweet.
So yeah, we do use it quite a lot, to be honest. This is the balsamic production, so it's just balsamic honey.
Yeah.
Pop it on. As it starts to bubble, just add in the thickening granules, and it just brings it all together.
Excellent. So it becomes, I mean, it takes it from a thin balsamic to obviously just with the thickening granules.
Yeah, a reduction, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And it's a quicker way of doing it as well. Sorry, the kitchen isn't really set up for one video. So I have to keep running and grabbing things.
That's okay.
Right, so I'm going to pop in my brownie next as well, and get that baking. So that is the McDougall's brownie mix.
Yeah.
Pop it in. And then beetroot, cooked beetroot.
Okay.
And then just whisk up together.
Okay, so there's no water that goes in that, just the beetroot?
Just the beetroot. It's cooked beetroot, so there's water already in it.
Okay.
And it brings it together, and it's sort of like a thick paste. There you go. I don't know if you can see that.
Okay, perfect.
Literally that easy. And then I use a silicone pan just simply because they're easier to get out. And when you're stuck for time, it's a lot easier just to get a load out. 2 spoons. Lob it in.
You can also use it if you got a little, you know, the little ice cream scoops with the kind of little controls on the handle. They're good for depositing things like brownies and muffins and things.
You know what? We actually have the perfect sized one, and it's gone for a walk today.
Okay.
we have a 2-ounce scoop that we use, and we use it for biscuits and everything like that. We do chocolate mounds and vanilla lumps with them, and the kids love them. And it's literally just your biscuit mix, and then blob it on.
And this was so obviously your recipes are perfectly proportioned. You got 4 portions there.
For 4, yeah.
For what you need to do. How many times did you pre-practice these dishes to make sure that you hit the brief?
Oh, a lot. From for regionals, I practiced, got it perfect, went to regionals, had constructive criticism things to change, and then that's when I sort of changed to getting the timings and everything like that. And I changed my dessert quite a bit. My main was okay, so I didn't change that, but my dessert I changed quite a lot, used different methods to take with me to the final.
Okay.
Could I just have a BS lid, please? Sorry.
That's okay.
So brownies are ready to go in.
Excellent.
I do have a bigger oven, but I tried to keep everything together. So this little oven is probably as old as me, to be honest. So it takes a little longer to make things. So I'm just putting in my thickening granules into the balsamic, and it just becomes like a pourable consistency, and it thickens as it cools. So I'll just put that onto the side. Is that shut there? And then I'll just leave that on the side, and then as it's cooled, I'll pour it into a little sauce bottle. Thickening granules again go into my raspberries.
Okay, so this was Holly. This is the second time you entered the competition. So you obviously did it last year as well.
Yeah.
Was it easier the second time around?
I wouldn't say easier. I think it's kind of more what to expect. So it's not as nerve-wracking.
Okay.
When you're coming in blind, you don't know what you're coming into, do you? So you are a bit unsure. Whereas this year, I kind of knew the setup. I knew how it'd work. So it does.
Sorry, go on.
I'm sorry. It does give you sort of that little bit more confidence coming in.
Yeah, I was going to say. So in your mind's eye, you kind of knew what to expect. Yeah.
Yeah. I had a bit of a better idea. And that's the Parmesan crisps just come out.
Excellent.
You just leave them to cool and then take them off.
Okay, and you've also got a bit of a bug for competitions now as well, because you've also recently won the McDougall's Young Baker of the Year as well.
Yeah, we did that one. I think that was after my first year at doing the Cook of the Year.
And that's the big trophy on the back.
Sorry, Chef of the Year. Yeah, that silver one. That was what they won, and they did amazing.
The big World Cup. That was
massive.
Because the entry that you did for that was I think blew everybody away. I think it was and I remember kind of all the little stories. It was your caretaker, wasn't it, who made
Mr. and Skippy's a bit of a legend around here.
Who made the actual the platform that everything kind of worked on. It was really good. It was really good.
Yeah, it was actually the kids that came up with the idea. We walked around school and we said, look, you pick, you're going to make it, you pick what you want to do. And then when they said, oh, we want to do a garden with trees and with a path, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's what we'll do. And we just built on it and then came up with that.
So have you got a bit of a competition bug now then? Are you have you got lots more planned or what?
Well, we had the baking team planned for this year, but obviously with everything that's gone on the back burner.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll be able to do that again next year. I'm not going to tell you what we were going to do, but I think it was pretty cool.
Okay, keep your powder dry then. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll keep that close to our chest. So the balsamic is cool, so I'm just going to pour it in. And I just use little sauce bottles simply because we're using smaller amounts.
Okay.
And then it'll just drip in. Now, as it cools, it can go a bit thick. So if it comes to serving and it is a bit thick, I just pop it in some hot water and it just thins it down again.
Okay.
And then it'll just drain in. And then with the raspberries, I shall just grab a sieve. So the raspberries are just passed through a cone sieve. and then just push it through till we get the sauce.
Okay. So since winning the competition, with everything that's gone on in the past kind of 12 months, how's that changed things for you? How's that changed your role? I guess that some of the things that you do, what's it been like?
To be honest, as soon as COVID came along, literally 10 days after the competition, so it put a big stop on a lot of things. The first couple of days was a bit of a whirlwind. I was on our local BBC News, and from that ended up on national news. So like a car came and collected me and everything. It was dead posh. So went down there, went into hair and makeup, and they interviewed for that. So that was the day after the competition. And as we were driving on our way home, they rang up and said, "Is there any chance you can bring some food with you?" So at sort of 10:30 that night, I'm there trying to cook my dish after the competition. So it was all a bit of a whirlwind, to be honest. Then we came back to school on Monday, had like a celebration assembly where we watched the video and all things like that. And then it was literally the week after that everything came to a stop, really.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a shame, but you know, that's life, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess it's allowed things to kind of, I guess, calm down a little bit for you. And I think, and I think, I mean, coming out of COVID as we are now, I mean, obviously you've been kind of preparing food all the way through for key workers. But things are going to get pretty hectic pretty soon, I think, as well.
I think, coming back in September is going to be a lot different. We've already been in talks on how things are going to change. How we're going to, could I have that back a second? Thank you. We're going to have to change quite a lot in the way we serve, because we have 250 for lunch and we have about 40 minutes to serve them in.
Yes.
So we're not going to be able to go back to what we used to do. We are going to have to change.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are talking about extending the time, aren't they? Taking it from, say, if you take it from 40 minutes to even say an hour 10, an hour and 20, that allows you that staggered approach.
Yeah, we've extended our lunch and we've got 2 halls, so we're going to have to serve our juniors in our normal hall, thanks Al. And then our infants, we're moving over to another hall to serve them, so we can sort of serve them simultaneously and hopefully get them a little bit quicker, because they've got all their schoolwork to catch up on. Yeah. Because, you know, they've missed quite a lot. So, and at the end of the day, their schoolwork sort of does take precedence, really. Yeah, well, a lot of them have missed 6 months of school, or will have done by the time they go back in September. Exactly, and that's a lot, isn't it? Like 6 months is a lot. It is. So raspberry coulis just gone in, and I put about 80% of it in, and then keep a little bit back, and then add in some fat-free yogurt, just to give a bit of a different colour on the plate. Literally just mix it in. Okay, so how are you finding things in the kitchen in terms of I guess social distancing in the kitchen? I mean, have you got markers and things everywhere, or? Yeah, I don't know if you can see, but behind me we've got like an island in the middle of the kitchen. So we have like a little one-way system going. So we go one way around the kitchen, which makes life a lot easier. We all know where we're going there. Yeah. And we all have our own little workstations, which has worked fine so far because the numbers have been lower. Yeah. But obviously come September, you know, it's going to be a little bit harder, but we just have to adapt and move with it. And, you know, I think that's going to be our new normal from now on, really, isn't it? I think it is. I mean, one of the things we've noticed in the kitchen is it's made communication a lot better. People, whereas people normally would just barge through the kitchen, people kind of have to start to say, coming through, can you move out my way? And yeah, you've just got to think, haven't you? You've got to think a lot more. You've got to slow things down, which is difficult in a kitchen environment. It is when you've got a set time and lots of mouths to feed, isn't it? But at the end of the day, if that's what we have to do, that's what we have to do, isn't it? Like, I think we're quite lucky compared to sort of NHS workers and things like that. We do have it easier. So now I'm just chopping my cherry tomatoes. Okay. I just chop these, set them aside. Next I'll go on to basil, set that aside. Okay, so these are for your sauce and for your garnish as well? Yeah, so when I say sauce, it's more like, it kind of like covers it's not like a runny sauce.
Okay.
So it kind of covers the pasta and adds flavour that way. And I just think that again makes it, when kids have pasta now, they tend to have like pasta and tomato sauce or a carbonara. They don't think of like a dry pasta because it's not as common. So I think it's another way of just changing what they eat a little bit.
You've used, I mean, a lot of the ingredients you've used, I mean, they're all natural ingredients because you don't tend to use a lot of seasoning and things, do you? So you've allowed, again, the flavours to come through with the food. I mean, you've got a natural umami with the tomatoes, with the parmesan, and then you've got the herbs going through there, the flavour coming down of the cooked meat as well. So is that something that you had to kind of think about in getting the flavour out of the food?
Yeah, it's something I tend to do myself at home and in school, is try and use as few artificial flavours as possible. You know, we've got kids in here that react to things like that. We've got dietary requirements. So I try and make sure that all the meals I cook, that all the children can eat them with a slight variation. So they don't have to have, like the dairy-free kids don't have to have a completely separate meal. They can eat what the others eat with just a slight change.
Yeah, which is the same as the way a lot of restaurants kind of approach things as well, if they're cooking things from scratch. Yeah.
And that's what it should be like, really, shouldn't it? They shouldn't have to have something different. They should be able to eat. Where's my little cloth gone? Sorry, it just lost my cloth. They should be able to eat the same as everyone else and not be made to feel different.
They should. And how do you think the quality kind of as school meals has changed over the years?
When I was in school, it was like the Jamie Oliver time, where it was the turkey twizzlers, and that was your school meal. You know, sponge cake and pink custard and things like that. And I think it's changed quite a lot now. We only say the kids only have chips once a week. It used to be a daily occurrence. You know, around here up north, it was chips and cheese, chips and gravy, and that was your lunch. Whereas now we're a lot more nutritionally aware of what our meals have to contain and what they should contain to help the kids keep learning throughout the afternoon.
And what do you think's driven that change?
You know, I think it's just people becoming more aware of what we eat. People are becoming more knowledgeable at home as well as in kitchens. So I think it drives from home as well as from sort of like restaurants, schools, things like that as well.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I'd agree.
Can I have a pasta out the fridge, please? Yes, the one out the fridge. Thank you. So I'm going to make my pasta next.
Okay.
My filling's still cooking. Normally, obviously, I've pre-made a lot of stuff. So normally I'd still be doing different things. But I'm at the point now where, because obviously we have an hour and 45 in the competition, and we've got half an hour today, we needed to try and condense down and have things pre-made. Thank you. So I've got pasta that I've pre-made before. And on the competition day, I made 24 tortellinis. So I pre-made them this morning. So I'm just going to make a couple now just to show how I would make it. So I've got just plain flour in a tub. You don't need a lot of flour. The less you use, the better, because you'll dry the pasta out. So I just do my machine a little bit.
Make sure it's nicely fastened to the worktop.
Yeah, there we go, squash it on. We've actually had to borrow a clamp from the science department this morning because it was wobbling around. So the poor deputy head was running around school trying to find everything for us, bless her.
I was going to say, it's usually the first thing that breaks on a pasta machine is it's either the little cogs on the handle or it's the clamp that fastens it to the table.
And today mine was the one that fastened it to the table, typically. So literally just roll it through and then just reduce it down one notch every time. And you can see it just gets a little bit thinner each time. If it gets a little bit long, just slice it in half.
And as you say, did you make that one this morning as well that you put in the fridge?
Yeah, this one I made literally half an hour ago, just so that we could do things a little bit quicker.
Okay.
I stop on the second thinnest when I'm making tortellini, just so it holds up a little bit better with the filling in. So it's the second thinnest hole, and then just put it out with a cookie cutter.
Yeah. So what you mean by hold up in terms of it looks prouder on the plate when it's served?
Yeah, and I think you can run the risk of your pasta being a little bit thick, but I think if you stop at the second thinnest, it's enough that it's still got a bite, but it's not enough so you get a mouthful of pasta, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's because it's a meaty filling, it's quite substantial. So if your pasta goes a bit thin, you do run the risk of it tearing. And I'll just cut them out. I serve 6 on a portion, simply because I think it's the right amount. And even as an adult, I had a few adults test it and they would say it's just a little bit small for me. So I said, well, that would be perfect for the kids then.
Perfect, yeah, yeah.
So I just get a little bit of milk and a pastry brush. And then I've got my filling that I pre-cooked before. So when the filling comes out the pressure cooker, I pop it straight into a blender, blend it down. You can shred it with a fork, but I just found this makes it a bit smaller, so it goes into the tortellini a little bit better. And then I just add a couple of grams of thickening granules just to bring it all together and take out any extra moisture, because any extra moisture then goes into your pasta and can make your pasta soggy. So I literally scoop about a teaspoon into the middle of each tortellini. And you get quite good at doing it by eye. That's a bit much. And then a little bit of milk around the edge.
Okay. Well, why would you use milk and not water? Is there any particular?
You could use water. I probably, to be honest, I use milk because that's what I've always been taught to do. Okay. But if you have a dairy-free child, you could use water, no problem. Yeah. And then get my little batch again. And then a little bit of flour on your hands, fold it over into a little crescent moon, stick it together.
I'm getting
and then
hungry
just fold
now.
it around. It is dinner time, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
There you go, and then they just stand up like that.
Excellent.
And then if you cover them with flour, and then I just set them aside until I was ready. Because my menu is quite a last minute thing to plate. So everything had to be prepared. And then in the last sort of 10 minutes, that's when I cook it all.
And would you ever kind of freeze anything down like this as well? Would you ever make it in advance and freeze them? And
yeah, definitely. These can be frozen, defrosted and cooked, no problem.
Okay. Because
which again, you know, go on, sorry.
So I was going to say we've seen lots of issues with caterers and schools especially who at the point of lockdown have had a lot of stock in their kitchens and need to find ways to use up things, especially with kind of best before end days.
We have to place our orders in advance, so we placed our order before lockdown was announced, and then when we announced it, I actually had a delivery the day of lockdown, our last day in school. And well, I am known as Hoarder Holly because I like to have everything in stock. So I have quite full freezers at the moment from having to cook everything, cook, cool and freeze, basically ready for when we come back.
Yeah. And have you found yourself having to kind of throw any products away or anything other than obviously the fresh stuff has been difficult to use, I guess?
What we've managed to do is, because we've had the key worker children and we were able to use it up that way.
Okay. So you've staggered your menus and changed them and adapted them? Yeah,
we totally changed our menus, basically. We came off menu to use up what we had so it wouldn't be wasted.
Okay.
Just going to check these brownies. A little bit longer on them. So next thing I'll make is ice cream.
Okay.
And the ice cream is, could I have the frozen pot out the freezer, please? Originally I did it in a blender and whizzed it down. And that's what I did for regionals, but then got a bit of feedback, I think, from yourself actually, to say that the consistency wasn't sort of quite right. So then I've got an ice cream, no, sorry, the pink pot. Got an ice cream maker, and it is literally fat-free vanilla yogurt with chopped up banana, and it makes a really creamy banana ice cream.
I think you had some kind of, because if you just let it freeze static, you had some ice crystals in there, didn't you? Which was which was it was
because
okay.
It wasn't cooked down.
It was okay, but it depends what you want from what you want for the products. And as you say, if you put it through something that constantly churns in a proper ice cream machine, then
it breaks down those crystals.
A nice smoother mouthfeel, yeah.
So let me just get a spoon. So where is my whizzer? So I still whiz it down, just because the ice cream is meant to churn it. It's not meant to chop it. So I just pop it into a whizzer.
Yeah. That blitzer gets a lot of use in your kitchen, doesn't it?
It is well used, yeah. It's probably one of my favourite things. And I think it comes, I used to work in a school that had a lot of children that couldn't eat, they couldn't chew, so they needed their food blended down. And I think that made me more aware that you can literally make anything edible for anyone. So we'll just whiz it. Oh, why isn't it working? Oh, there we go. And that just brings it all together. And I'll get my little... And I love these silicone spoons as well, because there's no waste then. So I use these a lot. So we just pop it on, turn it on to churn, otherwise it all sticks to the edge. And then pour it in. And it literally takes 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think the other issue we had in the competitions was freezer space and the number of people that are in and out the freezers and sharing the same freezer. So it
yeah, and I think it was good because everyone was aware of everyone else. It wasn't like, that's my space, you're not having it. Everyone was like, oh yeah, I'll move this and you try that. So it was really nice that everyone wanted to help each other. No one was sort of there for themselves.
I think that was... Sorry, go on.
I think that's really nice because you expect to go for a competition and everyone's there because, you know, I want to win. But it wasn't like that at all. It was a real nice, like the night before, we all shared ideas of what we do in our kitchen and things like that. And it's given me ideas that I've brought back here. So it was I appreciate that. I really like that.
I think from my perspective as well, the competition is great for them. One of the main points is that camaraderie that everybody's got, and it was across all the regional heats through to the final. I mean, it was the way everybody was really kind of trying to help each other and work together. And I think
it was really nice.
I think that comes in with things like the feedback as well that obviously all the judges give, which in most competitions you barely get kind of 1 or 2 lines of feedback. But I guess in this competition, the feedback is very kind of structured and really is about everybody pushing things in the right direction to kind of make things and the outcome as good as they possibly can.
Yeah, I think even from a competitor point of view, that really stood out as well, that everyone wanted the best for everyone else. So I really like that. That's what I liked about one of the main things about the competition was that everyone wanted to help everyone else.
Yeah.
So it was really nice. Anne, sorry, could I have a blue pot, please? A blue pasta pot. Once this is churned, this ice cream, I just pop it into the freezer just to make it a little bit firmer. Because it is a bit of a soft serve, but the way I serve, I want it to like sit on top of the plate. So if I just pop it into the freezer just before scooping it out, it just makes it more of like a scoopable ice cream as opposed to like a Mr. Whippy soft serve. And then I think we're pretty ready to cook and serve now. I think. Thank you, Anne. The poor girls are bent down at the side here because they're trying to keep off camera. So I don't know if can you see it churning there?
I can't see right in there, but I can see that it's moving around, but I can't see
it's just
itself.
A little ice cream mixer that anyone can buy, and it's so easy. And this is healthy. It's low-fat yogurt and ice cream, so it's something you can make at home with the kids.
Yeah.
Not a problem, and not feel guilty. Guilt-free ice cream.
And again, if you were going to do that for more kids in the school, I guess you'd have to do it as a
a bigger ice cream maker.
Or a bigger ice cream, or you do it static on a tray as you did before and slice it into squares. I guess you could do as well.
I've actually put them into balls and pop them in the freezer, and then we just take them off because we do at Christmas. We do things like that. Yeah. And we just take them off with our spatulas and pop them on the trays, and they're great that way. Okay. So I'm just gonna pop this in. Oh. There we go. And then this will go off to the freezer. And hard enough in there. There we go. Thanks, Sam. I'm going to pop it in the freezer. And then I think we're ready to cook our tortellini.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to get this up to temperature a little bit. This oven is as old as me, so things do take a little bit longer sometimes. So in this big frying pan, I'm going to pop in some butter. And again, I use salted butter because I don't use added salt.
Yeah.
So I think by using the salted butter, it just adds a bit of flavour. And then we're going to add in the soya beans, which is something none of the kids had really had before. But it just adds like to the nutritional value of the dish. And it adds like a nutty flavour and a bit of a texture to it. And as soon as you put it in butter, the kids like it then.
Yeah. It's a little bit like buttered sweet corn.
Yeah, I think they looked at me as if to say, "What is that, Holly?" And then when they tasted it, they were quite impressed. So I literally just pop that in and then pop some spinach on top to wilt. And the good thing about this is you can just pop it to the side, quickly reheat it. It takes minutes. So it makes the serve a little bit easier.
So when we did all this in the competition, and when you did this then obviously you had a very detailed time plan.
Yeah.
Which you kind of obviously went through very methodically. I guess you've made these dishes so many times now that it becomes second nature. I am a bit of
fly by the seat of my pants kind of person, so I like to just make things. And I think the girls are stood here nodding next to me. I think in the competition I realised that I couldn't do that. I had to be more methodical, and that's probably something I learned from the first time I did it. I just kind of like rocked up, got everything out, and thought, right, let's cook. And then when you get halfway through, you realise, no, I'm going to run out of time, or things hasn't quite worked. Whereas because I had my time plan, I could just pop my way through it nice and steady, and it all works perfectly. I was lucky.
Is that one of the things that changed then from the first year you entered to the to this year? Yeah,
do you know what I'd say? It's something I learned from the first year that I did it, and also from the regionals to the finals.
Yeah.
I think if you do sort of a competition like this, you've got to be prepared to change and adapt. I think you can't come in and think, this is what I'm doing and that's it. You've got to be open to change, and people offer you advice. And if you take that advice, it does make your dish better. Right. So I'm just trying to get my pasta water up to heat. So I've got my tortellinis that I made up before.
Yeah.
So literally we just drop them into the pasta water. Al, could you just pass me a spider, please? Thanks.
And
we just literally drop them in.
And again, the pasta water that you're cooking them in, there's nothing else in there, just water, yeah?
Just water, yeah, just plain water. Now, it's not quite as hot as I'd like it, but again, it's a bit hit and miss. So I'm going to start my sauce. So pop in the oil. And then crunch in my garlic. And I think sort of tomato, garlic and basil is a classic, isn't it? Like,
yeah, in terms of, and again,
everyone.
Very, very robust flavours again.
Yeah. So take that round. And then just cook that for a minute or so. And then I'll add in my basil. And then another thing I learned from the regional to the final was that if I took some out and popped the tomatoes into the sauce, they held together better.
Yeah.
So what I do is I'll cook them all together. And you don't want to cook them for long. You want them to still stay nice and green and bright. I'll take some of that out, pop that into another pan, and then I'll put that to the side. And then pop my cherry tomatoes into there, just to coat them in the bit of the basil and the garlic as well. And then the tomatoes hold together. I don't know if I'm in the way there. They don't come apart, but they take on that flavour.
Yeah.
Leave them on there to cook for a minute. Yeah, I think I should have done that before. Alison's just offering me some hot water now. Right, we're all right, we're getting there. So our pastas are just cooking, and you know they're cooked because they rise. So it's quite an easy cook really, and it's a quick cook.
Okay.
They don't take long. While they're popping, I'll do my, I'll start on my pudding. So the crumble is literally the McDougall's crumble. And you don't have to do anything to it. You literally just pop it in the oven and bring it out.
Okay.
So sorry, go on.
So I was going to say, how difficult have you found it to incorporate some of those ingredients? I mean, you've used things like the thickening granules, the crumble mix, the plain flour, the brownie mix. I mean, have you found them quite easy and versatile to use?
Definitely. I use the McDougall flour quite a lot anyway, because I find they make really nice cakes. If anyone says to me, you know, why are your cakes so nice, I'll say it's McDougall flour. I don't know why, I just think it comes out better. And then brownie mixes and things like that. I think I wanted to try and add in a bit more of a, you know, sort of a health to the pudding. And we all know chocolate brownie and ice cream is going to go down well with the kids. So I wanted to try and make it in a way that they didn't know the brownie was there. And the ice cream, they didn't realise wasn't actual proper ice cream.
So the bit again, you got the beetroot and then the bananas going through the ice cream as well.
Yeah, so that adds to sort of the health benefits of it.
Yeah, and as you
say, cheeky, that one.
As you say, when you actually tasted the brownies, you couldn't tell there was beetroot in the brownie.
No, I think it makes it sort of a bit like of an earthier flavour, whereas some of us adults would notice it, whereas the kids didn't at all. They just chocolate brownie winner. And then I just dot the coulis around just to make it a bit of a different colour and a bit brighter. This is when you get a raspberry seed stuck in you. There we go. And then I just drag a nice birch to make it. We all like a bit of heart, don't we? Like it to look pretty.
It's like you could hear a pin drop in that kitchen.
They're all stood here laughing at me. But I say this often, there's no way I could do these competitions if it wasn't for the kitchen staff. Yeah. They've come in today, they've run around, they've helped me get stuff ready. They are just great. I love my girls. They really help, you know, they're helpful. We work together really as a team, and I don't think this is the kind of job that you can't do on your own. You need to have a good support team behind you. And I'm really lucky that I do have that. I'm nearly there with them pastas. So our brownies are cooked over here. Haven't really got the most space here. And because the silicone, they loosen off quite well. So we literally run a little knife round and then pop it onto the plate.
Yeah, the silicone molds are great because again, they're reusable. You can freeze things in them as well.
They're really, really easy. They're a lot easier.
And the biggest benefit, non-stick.
Yeah, because look how easy they just pop out.
Yeah.
There we go. And then again, I just add some fresh raspberries onto the side, just again for more of a fruit hit. And raspberries is nothing that the kids really like. Where's my pot?
Okay, but they're very expensive though, aren't they? So again, you've got to really work on your costings very tightly. So
in the sauce, the frozen raspberries, which brings the cost down a lot, which enables me to put the fresh raspberries on. But we also grow raspberries in the school garden. So on the menu, I'd actually use our own brownies, our own raspberries that the kids have made. And then I'm going to scoop on our ice cream. Al, could you just get me a cup of hot water? So again, as I said before, with the balsamic, if it gets too warm, I just put it into heat. I do the same with the ice cream scoop. So if it just freezes a little bit, I'll just pop it into a cup of hot water and scoop it in. I can hear them whispering now. I bet they're going, the kettle's not on, she didn't ask for that. Oh, God, love them. Thank you. Oh. And then in the competition, they ask for the dessert first. So yes. That's just why from the, but I serve it first from practices.
I think we did, in all the regionals, we said the dessert first. And when we got to the final, we did adapt it slightly and let people serve it in the order that they'd best serve it in. I mean, especially, and I think it's something that again, we need to kind of be flexible with the rules and things, but it also depends on the temperatures that the dishes are being served at as well, and really what's most suitable for the people who are competing.
Yeah, because obviously my ice cream needed to stay cold. The freezers actually were really good there, so it came out sort of a lot more frozen than I thought, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there was a blast chiller, weren't they, in
yeah,
in Stratford. Yeah.
There we go. And then I just put a bit of mint leaves on the top because it looks pretty. And the kids were amazed that they could eat this. They didn't believe me. There we go. And then, right. So to place up the main. So normally what I do is the dessert would go, so that gives you a bit more room.
Yeah.
If I can pop the dessert up, is that okay if I move that there?
Yeah, move them there, or yeah, or wherever you need to.
And then we can serve here. So we'll get our, literally, I put a little bit of pasta water into the garlic, just to emulsify it. And then I take the pasta straight out from the pan into the sauce.
Okay.
So we're going now. My spider doesn't fit. I've got a smaller one that we've misplaced. I'll use a sieve. Look, adapt. That's what we do in school kitchens, isn't it? We adapt. So I'm just going to use a sieve and pop them in. On the day, I made 2 extra tortellini just to give me a bit of leeway,
yeah,
in case, you know, something went wrong or anything like that. I'm just fighting to get these out without the spider. We laid everything out ready, and I think it's been laid out somewhere. This isn't very helpful. Yeah, that'll do. Thank you, Alison. Comes to my rescue again. So we just take them out of the pasta water, pop them into the pan. And then this just coats them.
Okay, and I guess that also then helps to stop them drying out, doesn't it, as soon as they've come out.
Yeah, and they don't stick.
Yeah.
Notice how I didn't say that before. I'd shook them. I shook them to make sure they weren't stuck first. So I'll just leave them in there. So I get my soybeans, place them in the middle of the dish. And I think also by popping this underneath, the kids have tasted it before they've realised what they've tasted. So they've actually thought, oh, I quite like that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of kids, they'll say, oh, I don't like that straight away before they've even tried it. And then once they try things, they realise that, oh, actually, they're quite nice. looking good.
As you said before, there's all the flavours that are in here are really kind of working together. They're all flavours that do align with each other.
I think they do. And my 10-year-old, he can be a little bit fussy. And he ate it and he liked it. So I think if he likes it, you're on to a winner. Well, I wasn't I, really? There we go. And then get my pasta. The grabbers. And then I just use grabbers to put them on so it would be a little bit neater. But the grabbers have gone also. I think we're washing stuff and putting stuff away, trying to be nice and neat. And things get lost. Thanks, Alison. Alison's running for my grabbers. Simply because they're hot and I don't want to burn my fingers. Oh, you know where the proper ones are? We'll give it a go. Let's see. Yeah, we can do it. No, I need the other one. Sorry, Alison. Yes, that's them. There we go. I'm a little bit funny. I like certain, I don't know if everyone else is the same, but I like to use the same sort of things each time.
Yeah, we're also creatures of habit as well.
Yeah, these are my favourite grabbers. And it just takes a little bit of time to sort of stick them up.
Yeah, and as you said, it's 6 to a plate.
Yeah, 6 to a plate. A few spare just so you can test them, you know, because I want to make sure they're right. And Al, could I just have the Parmesan out the fridge, please? And I think it's really important to like sort of clean your plates and stuff afterwards, even in school meals. You expect it when you go to a restaurant, but you think, you know, oh, we've got all these kids to serve. We haven't got time for that. Thanks, Sam.
I agree. I mean, if food looks good, generally it tastes good.
Yeah, and the kids eat with their eyes, don't they? A greater as well.
They do. It shows the amount of pride and time and effort people put into their food if they make an effort with the presentation of the food as well.
A lot of people say, no, you wouldn't serve it like that if you were doing school meals. No, you would adapt it slightly, but it's still got to look, yeah.
It's still going to look good. It's still going to look, it's still going to reach your standard.
Yeah, and it's still got to look appetizing for the kids, because at the end of the day, I think sometimes the kids are the toughest critics. They'll tell you exactly what they think. Then I just stand them all up. And then that was another thing I learned. Was to make sure the plates were cleaned off
around the edge.
Yeah, because sometimes when you're rushing, when you're under pressure, you think, oh no, that's fine. But actually, if you do just put in that little bit of extra effort, then it does make a difference. Oh. This one is not standing up. There we go. Naughty. Not going to stand up. Yeah. And then I put the balsamic around the edge.
Okay.
See how when I said it goes a bit thick, so just pop it in some hot water and that'll just loosen it off. I then add on Parmesan, again for a little bit of salt and a little bit of flavour. Anne, did you get the grater?
So you got the grated Parmesan and the Parmesan crisps as well.
Sorry, oh there we go. Yeah, so the Parmesan crisp just again to add another texture, but I just think a bit of Parmesan over your pasta. And it's not a lot, it is literally, as you can see.
Yeah.
So when I do it, I do 20 grams for the crisp and 5 grams for the covering. So it's 5 grams is not a lot. It's just over a gram a plate, isn't it? And then Parmesan crisp, I just leave them on the tray until the end. My little puller offer. See, look, they just tidy up after me all the time, these guys. They're so good. Thank you. Just loosen them off gently.
And so the fat within the crisp means you don't need to put anything under that to stop it sticking to the top.
No, literally.
And it literally is just the grated Parmesan browns off and
Yeah.
sets as crisp. Yeah.
And I think the kids quite like it because it looks a bit different. It looks,
yeah.
you know, it looks a bit exciting, and it's something that is so simple.
It is, and it's got a nice crunch to it and bags of flavour.
Yeah, and loads of flavour to it. Let's do the balsamic. Ah, that's one here. You know, the blue pizza moment when I said, here's one I did earlier. Here's with the balsamic. And then I just drizzle that round the edge. And then you can dunk your pasta in.
Excellent. So Holly, what advice would you give to anybody who's thinking about entering Scotty in the future?
I'd tell them to go for it. I've grown and changed so much since I started. To go with an open mind, learn from other people. Even if it's someone else that's there cooking, if you pick up tips from every single person, it'll make your cooking better, and it's stuff you can take back to your kitchen to make your school kitchen better as well.
Fantastic. And do you want to introduce your dishes then, Holly?
Yeah, so I don't know if you can see it better that way. We've got a braised beef tortellini on a bed of soybean and spinach with a cherry tomato and a basil sauce and some balsamic reduction around the edge. And then this might slide. We've got a chocolate and beetroot brownie with a raspberry and vanilla coulis, banana ice cream, crumble and raspberries.
Fantastic. And Holly's recipe, as well as all the rest of the finalist recipes, are now available in the McDougall's Scotty 2020 recipe book. Good job.
Thanks.